in different terms, and we have observed that how it can be calculated or estimated, and how those value or the value of m dictates the power in am, and how the transmitted power or the total power, or the total power, is dependent on the carrier power as well as the sub-bands power. And we have also observed in that process that if I ignore the equations, whatever we have written on that on last day, hopefully you have a note of it. So the basic bottom line was that although we are generating and modulated amplitude, modulated data or modulated wave, there is a significant loss in the power because a portion of the power is wastage. Okay, it's wasted in the generation of the carrier signal itself. And since carrier doesn't contain any useful information, so it's a lot of wastage that happens with the efficiency of the system as well. And this is the basics why we opt for some other reforms, such as double sideband suppressed carrier, or single sideband transmission, or even the vestigial sideband carrier, which are the last few modules which we are left with in this particular module. So let us quickly start off on that note, what we had learned as we have recapped already. In that light, let me just give you one small little info which was left on from last day, and then we'll go directly to the, let me start sharing. And we'll go directly to the AM generation also, the process. So if you remember, this is where we start. This is I would say a special case, okay? A special case, I will call it. So this is a special case on power, which we had calculated or estimated in the formula as PC plus 1 plus m square by 2. So this is what we had discussed. Now, if you rearrange it a little bit, like PT divided by PC, so this is 1 plus m square by 2, and you replace this power, okay, these are all power, right? So power in terms of current. So if we replace this by I t square into r, because we know that I square r is equal to power. That is always, like we know from normal theory, that I is equal to power. If I convert this V into our current, then it's basically I square r is what we are looking at with respect to the same. This is same way of representation. So IT square, that is this one, and even this one will be IC square multiplied by r, and this will be equal to 1 plus m square by 2. Okay, and this eventually what we come across is that there's a relationship between the total current to that of the carrier current, and that is given by this whole square, m square by 2. So please make a note of this. This is a alternative equation. Okay, if suppose you will find that in the course material, I'm not doing it at this point of time. If you find any difficulty, you can come back. That there is another way of approach, that if suppose the total current needs to be calculated for an AM modulated signal, then maybe we can use this equation and we can find out the same. Just for an example, just since we discussed an example, let me give you an example. So suppose I'm writing in short that an antenna current of an AM transmitter is 8 ampere. Okay. So suppose I'm writing in short that suppose the carrier current, or the IC, the antenna current that I'm talking about, is 8 ampere. Okay, and if only the carrier is set, so that is basically indicating that it is a carrier carrier current that we are looking at, but it increases to 8.93 amps if the carrier is modulated. So my IT, or the modulated signal, because IT, remember, this is the modulated part. So IT is 8.93 amps given. I'm writing it just short to cut out the time factor a little bit. Now, if the carrier is modulated by a single sinusoidal wave, determine the percentage of modulation and also find the antenna current if the modulation changes to 0.8. So let's take the first one. So given this, find what is M. Simple as that. So you can just directly substitute over here and you can get the answer. So maybe IT, okay, IT equals IC square root 1 plus m square by 2. And this will give us m square equals 2 into IT square by IC square minus 1. Just take this square over there. Hopefully these calculations are very trivial, so you can manage, and this will give you an answer of 0.701. Hopefully this is clear, right? This is very simple. In fact, take square on both sides and do the processing, and this gives us around 70% of M. Now suppose the question comes in that determine the percentage of modulation. Okay, this is the question. Now if the current changes, if IC changes to 0.8, okay, then what should be the total current? So in that case, what will happen, that if I change it from 0.7, if suppose the question is to extend it, that if now my M or the modulation index changes to 0.8, okay, instead of 0.7, then what will happen? So basically IT is equal to IC square root of 1 plus M square by 2. Now M is 0.8, you substitute over here. So 8 square root of 1 plus 0.8 whole square by 2, and this is around 9.19 ampere. So for the same scenario, by changing the different modulation, we actually can monitor about the throughput or the end current that is observed here. All right. So this is basically a special case or a subsections of the power in AM which was left with us. So this is the segment. You will find that in our course material, I have uploaded many such problems which you can just look into, and if you possibly can solve it on your own, I think that will be really great. All right. Now coming to the major segment of our discussion for today, and that is called as generation of AM waves. So this is the second segment, generation of AM waves, because as of now, what we have learned is the process that how the AM waves can be can work, like the working principle we know, but now we have to find a way to generate such a wave. Okay, so the hardware circuitries and all, how we do it. But fortunately, what happens, like in this particular course, we are not going to deal much about the circuitry or the detailing about the circuitry. It's more like a block structure that we are going to observe, and we want to understand that how the mathematical or analytical ways of how the AM is generated. All right. So first of all, we need to understand that this generation of AM, okay, usually there are two ways of doing it. One is called as a non-linear method. One is called as a non-linear method, and the other one is type is linear method. Now, usually the linear method will not be discussed anywhere, and it is not of very good use actually, because linear method will always have an issue with the noise immunity, as well as the generation of the signal will not be of sufficient quality. So that's why linear method is usually, or linear modulator or linear method based modulator is very rarely used. Okay, so that's why we are not going to use that much of the linear method. Whatever we are going to discuss will be based on the non-linear process, in which particularly in our syllabus there are two examples. One is called as square law modulator. Okay, and the next one is called as the switching modulator. Switching modulator. Now, even along with that, there are many others. For example, there is balance modulator. That is called as balance modulator. Okay, that is called as balance modulator. There is something called as ring modulator, like that. So there are many, but ideally we will only focus on these two. What I did actually, that in the course page, you will find that I have added two references. Okay, reference material also. In that, if anyone is interested, you can go ahead in looking at this balance and the ring modulator details from there. Okay, but that is not there in your syllabus, so we are not going to spend much time on this. Clear? So we are discussing the AM modulators. So we'll give a heading over here, AM modulators. So this is the process that is involved in generating the AM waves. Okay. Now, in most of the cases, at least for AM modulator, you will find that the generation, the non-linear device that we are talking about, the non-linear device. What is a non-linear device? What is a non-linear device? Anyone? Can anyone tell me what is a non-linear device? Is there anyone who can tell me what is a non-linear device? Non-linear device is something like a diode. Do you know about diode? Have you heard the term diode anytime before? Basically, if any device, okay, in electronics, if you are looking at any device where you are giving an input and you are getting a proportionate output, if you are looking at that way, like if you consider this way, like something like this, okay, suppose this is my input and this is my output. So suppose this is the curve that we are observing. Suppose we are looking at it something like this. So this is almost like a linear movement. Like if I'm giving an input voltage, the output is also increasing. That's a linear part. But this is predominantly something like a resistor. Okay, the resistors, like we all know, that is primarily a linear device. But if you consider a diode, what happens? The basic objective is that the output voltage, please make a note, the output voltage, okay, varies non-linearly with output, with input. So basically what I mean is that if suppose I consider V2 as the output, so V2 will be something like A of V1t plus A maybe B of some constant. A and B are some constants, sorry. Okay, so A VIT plus B of V square t, something like this. So this is a very common way of representing a non-linear characteristics. So you can observe this is the output. Okay, this is the output. So output and input, the VIT V1t is the input. Okay, so these are the input. Now you can see there is a square term over here. So it is not a linear relationship that exists. Okay, so that is why this type of device and their characteristics are the non-linear segment. Now we'll soon find why it is used, why we suddenly want to use a diode or a non-linear device for that matter. We'll come to that, but this is basically what a non-linear device is and what is the basic salient feature of it. All right, so it's a non-linear relationship between input and output is what we are focusing on. Now let's draw the circuit. Okay, let's draw the pictorial description of a square law modulator. Now what happens? This is the message signal. Please write it down with me. Okay, so this is the modulating signal xt. So this is the baseband signal. So modulating signal. Okay, now modulating signal comes over here where there is some kind of an adder where the other end is nothing but EC cos of 2 pi FCT. Okay, which is nothing but, as you can already observe, this is nothing but the carrier. Because as we know that the generation of AM is basically where the baseband signal is added up with the carrier signal. So we are just doing that. Now the output of this, clear up till this point, there is nothing, I guess, confusion here. XT is the baseband signal, unmodulated data, and this is the carrier, and they are getting mixed up over here with the adder. Now this output, okay, here in this output, the non-linear device comes in. This is a non-linear device. So we are making sure that the input over here, suppose this is my V1t, okay, goes through this non-linear device, and this non-linear device, the output of this may be V2t, okay. This goes through a bank of filters. Okay, so filters will look something like this. Like this. Okay, now what is the role? I'll tell you one by one. And finally, through this RL, we are actually generating V0. So like this. So what you observe over here that just let me point out once again. So this is basically up to this point is the filter. Okay, filter. So what are the components? You can see. So this part is clear. So we have XT, the baseband signal. We are adding up the carrier signal. So V1t will be nothing but the addition of both these two. Simple as that. Now after the nonlinear device, the V2t is generated, which is a kind of following the equation over here. All right, please make a understanding. This V2t is very similar to this. So it's a non-linear relationship that the V1 and V2 will have a role. After that, this arrangement where you are seeing a capacitor, when you are seeing a inductor, again, this is not the right forum to discuss the details of it. But basically, this is an RLC connection. The combination that you're looking at, this is nothing but a filter that you are looking at. Okay. Now, what is the role of a filter? Filter, can anyone tell me what is the role of a filter? Just from your generic understanding, what can be a filter? Anyone?
Does it remove noise?
Absolutely correct. Filter, just like the normal idea we have, like we will have a water filter. What it will act as? That it will act when we are adding up in the channel of where the water supply is. It will filter out all the pollutants, whatever the filthy things which are coming over the pipe. So the same concept is here is also filter. Instead, only thing that this filter will do, the pollutant that I talked about here in this case, this will be a band pass filter. So it will be a band pass filter. Now, just for your own understanding, just understand this way that band pass, from the name itself, it's understandable that it will pass a particular band of frequency. We know about the frequency band, right? We have already discussed that. So basically, this is a band pass filter which is added on that output so that a portion of the signal will be attenuated and a portion of the signal will be allowed to go through here where the output will be collected. All right. So this is basically the concept behind the application of filter. Now, so is there any doubt with the configuration and the portions that is involved? Anyone, please feel free. Many of you might be first time looking at a structure like this. Many of you might have already like known some of the elements over here. But if you have any doubt, please tell me right now. We are trying to generate our AM signal. So AM signal will be somewhere the modulating signal or the baseband signal and the carrier signal will get influenced. But if I try the linear mode, there will be a lot of disturbance and noise, and the signal will also be not of very good quality. So that's why the linear mode is, although it is very simpler, we are not actually trying to get hold of that linear modulator. Instead, we are using nonlinear modulation. For nonlinear modulation, the device that is preferably used is a diode. Okay. Now the diode, the basic objective is, or the principle is, that the output voltage is not in a linear relationship with an input. Now that is the very reason why it is actually used. So let me just go one by one step so that you are able to understand each and every mode of it. So let's write what is V1T. So you can observe clearly from your diagram that XT over here and EC is getting added up. So this is XT plus. Please follow with me carefully. You will be able to understand. You will never forget. You don't need to repeat to study any further. You will just understand carefully. So V1T is equal to XT plus cos 2 pi FCT. Correct? Now this goes to this linear device. Now, as we all know already, that the linear device will have an equation V2T equals A V1T plus B V1T square, where A and B are the constants. Okay, constant of the device. So let it be. So if I substitute V1T from equation number 1 to equation number 2, what happens? A XT plus A EC cos 2 pi FCT. So A is multiplied by V1T plus B XT. Okay, but it should be XT, B XT. So V1T, it should be squared. Okay, so I'll write it this way: B multiplied by XT square. I'll first do the squaring. 2 into XT cos 2 pi FCT plus EC square cos square 2 pi FCT. So what is nothing but, what I did here is nothing but A plus B whole square. So that's only I've mentioned. And if you go on breaking this down into more further segment, so A EC cos 2 pi FCT plus B x square T plus 2 XTB cos 2 pi FCT plus B EC square cos square 2 pi fct. So if I go on breaking this down, we simplify it and we are coming up with this solution. Now let us put some number so that we are able to understand carefully. So let us put this first term as 1. Okay, just for our explanation, nothing more than that. Let's put this second one over here as number 2. Okay, let this part bxt square be number 3. This is for our reference. Okay, we'll see that. Then let's take this one as 4 and the last one as 5. So there are 5 portion or 5 segment that is available in this particular equation. Now, if you closely observe, okay, if you closely observe, the first one over here is nothing but AXT, which means that this is nothing but the modulating signal itself. Please check it carefully. This is a constant term. This is basically XT, simple XT. So it's basically the modulating signal. Naturally, we are generating a modulated signal, not modulating signal. So if I happen to get this, this needs to be eliminated. Carefully listen to what I'm saying. I have made this into simplification. Okay, hopefully the simplification is not that difficult for you. Now I have categorized them into 5 components. Now I'm going through one by one. First component AXT. Now XT is the input. If you remember over here, XT was the input. So I'm giving XT, I'm getting an XT, okay, out of here, which means nothing because this is the input signal itself. So we have to eliminate somehow this one. Okay, that's the first part. Second, let's take the second one, AEC cos 2 pi FCT. Now, if you observe this second one, this might be of some interest. Why? Because this is the carrier. If you observe, this is a sole carrier that we are looking at. Okay, so maybe the second one, I'll write it over here maybe. This is basically the carrier in some different form maybe, but it is basically a pure carrier, EC cos 2 pi FCT. Clear? So let it be as it is. Now coming to the third one. Again, you can see Bx squared T. It's basically the squared, it's a squared modulating signal, which is very unnecessary. No need. It's no need because again, it is just a different form of an input signal. So that's the third part. Coming to the fourth one. Okay, fourth one, if you observe, this is actually useful because you have your modulating signal, you have your carrier signal all together in this expression. Leave out this 2 and B because they are constant. So in this fourth one is actually the AM wave. So if I write it over here, fourth one is the AM wave. Okay, with only one side band. So ideally, we are, see, the objective of this is we are trying to generate the AM wave. So in this case, the fourth term that you're looking at, that actually plays a important role because that is the only portion where we actually have a modulating signal as well as the carrier signal together. Clear? And the last one, if you observe over here, the last one, the fifth one, this is also a squared carrier signal, which is unnecessary. We don't need that. We don't need that because it's a higher term, cos square 2 pi FCT, which is again unnecessary. We can eliminate that as well. So you can observe that there are 3 elements which are here, which are not useful. I'll write it here, not useful. Like they are generated, but they are, even if they are not, it won't harm anything. But this 2 and 4, okay, these are basically useful information. Because in one, it is the carrier that we are looking at, EC cos 2 pi FCT, and as we know that the carrier is actually transmitted with the modulating signal, and the other part is the fourth one because it is nothing but a scaled component of the AM wave. So if I apply the bandpass filter over here, see here, please see the diagram. Now this V2 goes to this bandpass filter. As I know, as I already told you, the filter will filter out the necessary component. So what it will do is the filter will be tuned to only allow the second and the fourth component. So your output V0 T will be nothing but A EC cos 2 pi FCT plus 2B XT cos EC cos of 2 pi FCT. So this is basically 2 and 4. If you observe, this is the second term and this is the fourth term. Just refer to your notes. So if I take all the commons and everything, so finally your V0 T is coming as AEC 1 plus 2B by A XT cos of 2 pi FCT. Now, if you observe that if I compare this with the equation that we already had established previously, that ST is equal to EC 1 plus MXT cos of omega CT. Please refer to the I think one day before the previous class where we had defined what is ST. You will find that this equation was derived. So you can observe that this two has a very uncanny similarity. Okay, so here EC is there, here EC is there, only an amplitude, some kind of a scaling factor has come in. 1 plus is there. The M portion is this one. So here we can write the M or the modulation index as 2B by A, and XT is there, cos 2 pi FC is there, cos 2 pi FC is there. So basically using the squared law modulator, why it is called squared law? Because you can observe the squared components are coming over here. So that is why it is called as a squared law. Okay, so this is basically the final expression in which we are generating a modulating signal or the AM modulated signal. Hopefully this is clear to all of you. I have gone as much easy way as possible for explaining this. If there is there any doubt, please tell me right now. Anyone having any doubt, please feel free.
So what is the necessity of the nonlinear device? I didn't get that part.
Which one?
What is the necessity of the nonlinear device? Can't we just direct?
Yeah, that's what. If I don't go forward in using the nonlinear device, ideally what will happen that this part you can see cos squared 2 pi FCT is there, no? So if you check this can be modified. Actually, I've left few steps. You will find it in the course material. You will find that there are high frequency terms which are actually generated over here. Now, if you don't, as I said, the linear device we could have generated. There are process of generation also, but the quality of generation becomes much inferior when we do a linear modulation. So first of all, that's why the linear modulation is out of the picture. Now, when we are using the nonlinear device, because of the nonlinear device, these squared terms are coming. And because of the squared term and the associated terms, you can observe that we are actually generating the signal, although there are some high frequency terms which are there. Now, using a filter bank, we are actually eliminating those high frequency and we are only allowing a specific segment to allow, like to transfer. And the basic reason behind it, as I said, this transmission will be much superior compared to the linear mode of transmission. Okay, so that is the basic role why we are using a nonlinear device. This equation that you are referring to, no, this one, this won't be generated if we are using a linear device or the linear mode. So ideally, you can say that yes, we are adding a linear device. We have to add an additional filter also, because so in that way the circuit complexity or the number of components to a circuit increases. That's correct. But the thing is, in the process, what is happening that we are negating, okay, the inferior quality of AM generation at the output. Here, so that is why basic purpose of using a nonlinear.
Got it, sir.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So in that same light, there is another one that I want to finish off today itself, and that is called as the switching modulator. Okay, The switching modulator works in the same principle as that of the diode only. So already we have discussed that. So here what happens, the circuit looks something like this. So this is suppose the message, that is xt. Okay, so suppose this is the message. This is the carrier. Suppose this is a carrier which is CT. Okay, and this goes to a diode. So diode symbol is something like this, and then it goes to some kind of a resistor RL like this. Now the advantage of this particular process is that very easy to generate, and this is the output, in fact V naught T if I consider, and this is also where the diode is acting as a switch. What is the meaning of that? Just understand this carefully. Like V1T here also, okay, V1T which is out here somewhere will be nothing but XT plus CT. Okay, or in general we can write XT plus EC cos of omega CT. So this is basically what the structure is, V1T. Now the advantage of diode in this case, how it works is that when CT is positive, that means you have a sinusoid. Okay, just understand this. This is a sinusoid because it's a sine wave, cos omega C, sine cos wave, right? So when this positive half of the cycle will come in, okay, when this positive half of the carrier wave will come in, the diode here will act as a forward biasing condition. So at this case, diode will be forward bias. This all terms are a little alien to you, I know, but basically you can imagine that this is a switch, something like this. Okay, so this is a toggle switch, suppose. So it will come down and up. Okay, it will come up and down based on whether the trigger is positive or negative. Just imagine this way. So when the diode is forward biased, okay, when this positive half cycle is coming, see this part. This is forward biased, this diode is forward biased, hence the output is present. Okay, hence the output will be present because it's allowing the signal to pass. But when CT is less than 0, the diode is reversed biased. We call it the reversed biased. Okay, and in that case, the output is 0. Okay, so it will be acting as like if it is like goes down, this is a forward bias, but if it goes up, this is reverse bias. You can imagine this way, like just like we will switch on a fan and switch off a fan, we will put the switches right on and off. Same thing is happening over here using a diode. It is allowing or disallowing based on the forward bias or reverse bias process. Okay, so what is happening is that if I consider that this V2 or the output, if I consider this will be equal to V1T, okay, for CT greater than 0, and if it will be 0 for CT less than 0. Okay, so this is how it is working in that way. Okay, it is just allowing things to happen in that way. And similarly, this V1T that you are looking at, it can be mathematically expressed as this. Again, can be a little tricky for most of you since you might not be knowing the fundamentals as such, but just imagine this way that I am writing this V2 with respect to V1 using a new function, which is a periodic function. Okay, periodic function because of some reason, because we have to generate the harmonics, the carrier, the expression that we all know, the 1 plus m xt cos omega ct, that type we need to generate. For that purpose, mathematically we add up or we multiply this periodic function to V1T. So it is looking like something like xt plus ec cos of omega ct multiplied by GPT, like this. Now this is a periodic function. Now again, it's very difficult to go ahead with much of this detail at this point, but its periodic pulse trend will be something like this. Just to give you an example, like this. This is one. This is one. So you can see there is a repetition. All right, that is, you imagine this way. It's a repetition. So minus T0. Suppose the bandwidth over which it works is T0 by 2. So it will be something like this. So it's a periodic in nature. You can see that these pulses are periodic in nature. Now, if they are in periodic in nature, okay, Fourier series can be used. Again, some alien terms I know. Fourier series can be applied on it. But the consequences that is most important from your side, that is when we do that, okay, then V2 will become something like xt plus EC cos omega CT. So this is the first part. And the GP can be represented as half plus 2 by pi summation m equal to 1 to infinity. This comes from the Fourier analysis. Don't worry. You don't need to mug up anything. You just understand how I'm trying to do. Cos of 2 pi fct 2n minus 1 like this. It is an expression that comes in. GP is expressed in this way. This is a Fourier series expression. Since we don't know about Fourier series and we don't have the scope to explain at this point, so just see what I'm trying to do. So this is my V1. This is my GP. Okay. Now, fortunately, what happens that if I keep this as it is, okay, you observe here this only 2 pi cos of 2 pi fc. Okay, if this is the first term, like n equals to when the initial n equal to 0, you substitute, go on substituting n equal to 0, n equal to 1 like that. So initial 1, you get this one. The later half, if you go on increasing number, this n, the number of samples, if you go on increasing, these are higher order terms. We call it the higher order terms or odd harmonics. And the higher order terms can be eliminated using a filtering action, just like we know. So what I did, we got this V1. Now we multiply this, or rather we are processing it mathematically using a periodic function. The periodic function, if the Fourier series is applied, it comes with a expression of this nature. Now, if I go on substituting this n over here, n1, n2, n3 like that, as we go on increasing the n, the odd harmonics or the higher order frequency terms will come in one after the another. And we don't need that. That is the unused, like unuseful, unwanted data part. So we will just neglect that for the overall calculation. So what we are left with is something like V2T, sorry, V2T equals half of the overall derivation is there in the course material. You can see them, but just for the time being, omega CT plus 2 by pi xt cos of 2 pi fct. Okay, so you can observe that even you just multiply, because this is a multiplication, right? I'm just skipping that multiplication side over here. Xt multiplied by half, so it will be xt by 2. Okay, plus 2 into xt by pi cos of omega 2 pi fct, like that. It will go on one after the other. And remember, all the odd harmonics will be eliminated by a filter. So this is the expression that we are observing. And if I take some of these things common, like we can take EC by 2 common, then basically it is coming as 1 by 4 pi EC xt cos of 2 pi fct. Okay, so you can observe clearly that this is after the filtering action. This is after filtering what we are observing. If you compare this again with the one that we already had discussed a little while back, this is EC 1 plus m into xt cos of 2 pi fct. So this is what we had discussed just a while back, that the generic expression of a modulating signal. So you can see that this part is same. Okay, 1 plus this also is the same. M in this case is expressed by 4 by pi EC. So we can write it that in this case for a switching modulator, M is given by 4 by pi into EC. So this is my modulation index of it. Okay, then xt is there common, and cos 2 pi fc is also common. All right, so basically using this technique, we are generating the AM waves of superior qualities using the nonlinear device. In one case, it is acting as a nonlinear device over here. In a different mode, it is acting as a switch in case of switching modulator. This is called a switching modulator, as the name suggests switching modulator because this is an on-off process or switching process is involved. So we are allowing, the diode is allowing a portion of the signal to come in or don't allow it to come based on whether it is in forward bias or in reverse bias condition. Okay, and based on that, we, for the analysis purpose, after that we, in order to generate the cos 2 pi FCT or the carrier signal, or in the purpose of generating the AM wave for that matter, we are adding the, we are mathematically we are including a periodic function of GPT, okay, with a particular idea that this GP, when it gets multiplied with V1, it will generate some odd harmonics which can be eliminated from the circuit using a filter, but it will also leave out the cos 2 pi FCT, which is absolutely essential for an AM wave. And finally, after some modification, which is very simple, you can see it in the course page, detailed steps are given there itself. We are observing that after the switching modulator, we are finally finding out this as an expression, and we are comparing with the existing structure, and we are observing that the modulation index for switching modulator is coming as 4 by pi into EC. Okay, so this is all about the AM generation. Please go through this video and the material that is uploaded. And as I said already, that I stopped sharing. Okay, so as I said already, that there are a few more additional material over there. For any doubts and clarification, you can go through them, but those references are only for extra knowledge if you want. Those are not there in your syllabus, but you can use them whenever it is required. All right, so let us wind up the session for today. Hopefully this has been an engaging session, and the document, please keep it properly because it might help you out later on. And we'll come back next day with the demodulation part. That is what happens at the receiver when we want to find out that if there is an AM signal and we want to extract the modulating signal from it, then what will be the process in that. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for your kind attention. We'll come back on next day's class and we'll continue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.